everyone. My name is Andreas Diaz. Me and Will are back again for another spectacular Marvel Plus talk. Uh, and today we're discussing Captain Marvel. Uh,
hmm
so this is going to be interesting. So, Will, how you doing? And uh, how was your day uh, on a Monday?
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's very much a Monday.
Hey,
Yeah.
tomorrow's going to be the last day of January, and
hmm
we're going into February, which is good.
hmm Yeah. How's
So
your day?
my day's my day's been pretty good. I mean, typical Monday.
hmm
Um, but yes, so I had a chance today to watch again Captain Marvel because I gotta say I think this is my least watch like Marvel movie
hmm
of any the Marvel movies. I mean I I've seen all the Phase One movies like we watch. Um, half of phase two, and then phase three, like a bunch of them. I mean, this one is like my least watch. I mean, like I seen Am and the Wasp like TV and then in Disney Plus. So
hmm
this one was like oh yeah. But shockingly, I actually enjoyed this more than the first time I saw it in theaters. But we'll
Me
get
too.
into that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good because I was like, oh, it's actually a lot better. But yeah, uh, what do you think about this movie? What's your overall opinion about this movie? And we'll get started.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't think it's like a strong movie.
Mm,
But before, I had it at like a 5 out of 10, like incredibly average, like on par with Thor: The Dark World.
really?
Yeah, and watching it this time, it did get a little better. Like
Not that
not
much.
a ton better, but still like it's above a 5 out of 10. It gets a thumbs up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was all right.
yeah. I mean, I I can give. I think it's sort of like a 6.5 or 7.5 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
I think this is way leaps and bounds better than Thor: The Dark World, The Incredible Hulk. If you know, I mean, I like The Incredible Hulk more than this movie, but I think it's leaps and bounds better than that movie. And I think it's more like the Ant Man films. Like I feel
Mm,
like they're like this is a mature MCU film. There's like a lot of things that I like about this, just like the Ant-Man films, but
hmm
it doesn't hit me in the way that I think some of the other MCU films do. You know, like some of our top tier heroes in movies.
Yeah.
So, like that's my thing. But it doesn't have some of the bad things that some of the other MCU films. Like, one thing I did like about it the first time around was the humor was good. It wasn't aggressively bad or like it was like hitting you so hard with the humor like Volume 2 or like
hmm
like Love and Thunder, something like that. But yeah, I I think this is a mid trip film,
hmm
which is I mean it's something you don't want for your first female lead film, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah, it was
I
definitely disappointing, like from that angle.
yeah I mean so let's like I guess I for the question is like did it bother you that they made this movie set up Black Widow? Because I mean, Black Widow could have been easily the best option for your first female superhero film, but instead they went with Captain Marvel. So I did. You have any answers for me that like why they did that instead of just
Um,
what's your opinion?
I mean, I think they should have made a Black Widow movie in like 2016.
Yeah, I mean,
Um, but
or any in Phase Three.
yeah, but especially like early in Phase 3, like she's so popular.
Yeah,
And they should have capitalized that on that. And like I think we talked about it during the Black Widow discussion, but that was largely
yeah,
because of Bob Iger and his
yeah,
like uh like his aversion to anything that wasn't just like a white guy as the lead. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
no, they really
yeah,
missed the opportunity to do a good Black Widow movie with Scarlett Johansson like early in Phase 3 when it made sense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm curious if they did that. Like, could her fate in Avengers Endgame change? Like, I, I
Maybe, yeah. I
right?
mean, if something had
Because
happened in like a Black Widow movie that made Scarlett Johansson like interested in continuing.
yeah, like to get her own trilogy
Hmm.
and such. Because like if they actually led to that, like because that's one of the things that's so bizarre when we actually got the Black Widow movie. Is like,
Hmm.
well, I mean, prior knowing that she was going to die in Endgame, it was like, oh, this is cool, and then her death was like, oh, so okay, that was weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So I was always, it's always that thing for me. Is like, I just felt like she was pretty established. Like you got all the things like out of your way to make a good, female led film. You didn't have to deal with the origin thing, which is good. You have a character that has been pretty much like in your MCU for a very long time, since really the beginning of Phase One. So that was good. And then you got a great actress, Scarlett Johansson, and I think she's able to lead a film. And I think like you got all those boxes together, and I totally forgot about the whole by uh whatever that guy's name you brought up that like had
Bob
such a
Iger, or
Bob
no,
or
was
not
no,
it
it
was
wasn't Bob Iger. I'm sorry. I apologize to Bob Iger.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
sorry Bob Iger.
oh,
It
what
was
was his name?
it was a permutter.
Oh,
That was
Ike
his
Perlmutter. It
yes,
was the
and
I in Iger. Those.
yeah,
That's why.
we
Okay.
yeah, weird name. Like he had such a bizarre werewolf. Like he thought that, yeah, like his weird explanation why, like he had a weird explanation like why they
It's
can
yeah. He
recast.
thought. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was going with the John Shield recasting. Like he
Hmm.
like he made an awful comment about like how they look the same, and so like that was so like tone deaf.
Yeah,
I, yeah,
yeah. And then he like delayed. Or he like completely put off making a Black Widow movie because he thought no one would buy a Black Widow action figure.
yeah. Oh, and same thing with the
Black
Mandarin.
Panther. Oh
Yeah, Black
yeah.
Panther, and with Rebecca Hall's character, like
Hmm.
he thought that a female villain couldn't work because it couldn't sell toys too.
Hmm.
So yeah, very like narrow point of view that didn't make sense, and it just like was typical, uh, male slash, non-progressive ideas that you
Hmm.
don't know that could work. But yeah, yeah. So it took a while, and then like it was very fascinating while they were trying to get this a Black Widow but slash Captain Marvel project off the ground. Like initially, apparently, and it's been confirmed that Spider-Man and her Captain Marvel was going to be
Hmm.
towards the end of Age of Ultron, and I mean, I mean that's very weird to do
Hmm.
that to introduce these characters, but of course we got Spider-Man and Civil War, and that was better introduction. And I don't know what like I guess my question is like how you can introduce your character in a movie, like especially Carol, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. It is
You,
hard.
yeah. Well, I want to get into this. I just personally for me, you can easily just introduce her early in Phase 3, and and not do the time period thing. Because one of the things that I personally don't like that after Wonder Woman, like some reason we have kept. I mean, besides Birds of Prey, I mean, it's weird that we have kept some of our female heroes and their solo movies in like passes and time periods or
Hmm.
prequels, which I don't get, and that's so bizarre. I mean,
Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah,
yeah,
they are
like
all.
yeah. I mean, even the sequel to Wonder Woman, 1984, is like a
Hmm.
prequel slash time period movie. It's just
Yeah, I
I
mean the
don't.
one that is contemporary is WandaVision, but
Yes,
it's all
that's
set in like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
and She Hulk. I mean, she was in
She-Hulk
the
was contemporary.
yeah, yeah.
That
So
was
I mean,
probably the first one.
yeah, um, and of course I mentioned Birds of Prey over DC.
Hmm.
It was also contemporary as well. So,
Right. Okay.
um, but it's just weird that the major like female superheroes that we gotten, that we know,
Hmm.
like just bizarrely got this bizarre prequel time period thing. Because I gotta say, I this what like the first thing I would give, they did a good job with the time period of the 90s. Um, I will give that,
Hmm.
but I don't think they really don't need it for this film.
No, I can't even think of a reason why they would need it.
Yeah, I mean, I well, like okay, let me get into this, and I guess I don't want to hold up too much, but like the Nick Fury, like tying Captain Marvel in the MCU is was really forced,
Hmm.
and the second time around I saw this, I was like, oh, I don't like this, and then it was like when they started to like connect it to the MCU universe, like Shield,
Hmm.
like having Nick like explain how his eye got,
Yeah, we
you
didn't
know,
need that. We didn't need
yeah,
that.
exactly, and then like the Tesseract is like why you want to complicate the thing. We know that from Howard Stark, he got that
Hmm.
for the long time. We don't need this like gap where like oh like
Yeah.
we need the Tesseract. And then of course the thing that was annoying was the Avengers name. It's like
Hmm.
really, it's like you were
Yeah.
going too far with that, and
Yeah.
I yeah. So for me, the worst thing was really the MCU connections, and it was really bad. So
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
was
Lots of explaining things that had already been explained.
yeah,
Yeah.
but also rooting things that did
Hmm.
like completely destroy things. Like this destroys the Avengers movie, the first one, really
Hmm.
badly because Nick say when like everyone like the whole team were in that room prior to Hawkeye, attacking the helicarrier.
Hmm.
Like Nick mentioned that because of Thor rival to the New Mexico City town from his first movie made
Hmm.
you know Nick to try to get the Avengers initiative going.
Hmm.
Like it made sense, and that was like the first time he saw this alien threat. But then now with Captain Marvel, it completely deflate that, and it's like Nick knew about this whole wider universe thing, and it's like, what do you think?
Yeah. No, it definitely uh, changes the perspective on like Shield's relationship with aliens
Yeah,
because they do treat Thor like it's like first contact,
yeah,
but then there's something 15 years earlier.
yeah. Like,
Um, yeah, like it's and also just like with like Agents of Shield, it's weird that Coulson knows who the Kree are in the 90s.
yeah. Oh boy, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was around phase. No, it's not phase five. I was going to say,
Season
season.
5.
Yeah, season 5 or 6 because we were dealing with Kree stuff. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, this confirms they were not connected. Unfortunately, the TV shows and like this was. I
Hmm.
mean, it was about to happen. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
um, Yeah, yeah, it was just like, and then, I mean, I like to see Coulson back, but it's like, why do
Hmm.
we need him? It's
Right.
like,
He doesn't
um,
really do too much in the movie.
yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's like we don't need that. I just think we need Nick, and that's it. I don't think you really need that much from the MCU stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I gotta say, it did not hurt that we got Samuel L. Jackson back because he
Hmm.
and Alana Leach, who plays Brie Bramwell, are like the best thing about this movie. And of course Ben Mendelsohn as Talos.
Yeah.
I think Samuel L. Jackson's is great. I mean his the aging special
Hmm.
effect is like the
It looked great.
best. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I thought that they like he looked like Sam from the '90s, and it's just like
Hmm.
so surreal.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and he has the best humor out of any of the characters in this movie. So I love his
Yeah.
jokes.
And I thought he had really good chemistry with Brie Larson too. Like
Yes,
comedic chemistry. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That I totally agree because I mean because Brie Larson is a great actress, and I liked
Hmm.
her in this movie. I think I enjoy her performance more
I
here.
I liked
Um,
it more this time,
yeah.
but I still don't think it's great.
Um, well, I agree to that point because I don't think the amnesia plot
Yeah.
really
Yeah, I don't like
works.
I don't think it's her fault. I think
Yeah, yeah,
it's the character doesn't have much to go off.
yeah,
Um like
and
I really liked her performance in like fight scenes where she was just like having fun. But
yeah,
then anytime there was like serious character stuff, which was just like amnesia, like I don't know who I am stuff, it was just very like flat and boring.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. I'm talking to Brie Larson. I think she like the fact that she had to do this and Endgame. This
mhm,
shows how consistent she is with her performance. Like in terms of Captain Marvel. But I think the issue is like I think this movie did not help to give you a clear idea who's Carol Danvers as a hero and slash character to like connect with.
mhm,
It's because I I we watching it today. The amnesia arc thing wasn't as bad as remember, but the thing is, it's so bit difficult, and it's like none of the information was really like a shock. Really, like
mhm,
it just planned out as I as you thought it will be, and so a lot of it is so flat. And then that's where when she brings up those points of like I don't know who I am, it's like it's sort of hard to connect to that because it's like, well, you're Karen Danvers now, like you're from Earth and all that, and so like it just doesn't feel like as dramatic it should have been.
mhm.
Um, and uh, I don't know like where did they get this idea to do like a Nisha arc. I mean, I get it, it's from the comics, but like even that is just stupid. It's like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they didn't need to do it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this has so many writers. It's like it feels like manufacturing. Like, oh, we want to do this, and it's like I don't think they really executed this whole thing right. So yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. I don't know. Like it's really sad because I really wanted to get into this character, and I one of the flaws about this movie for me is like it doesn't like grab you right away to like this character. Like to really fell in love with her and like
mhm,
be with her through the whole movie. It's like you're very distant between her as a viewer, you know?
mhm,
Like that's the worst thing you could have done, like even Scott, like I like Scott to connect with him when I saw Ant-Man, but or even if you didn't see him in Ant-Man, like when you see him in Civil War, like that was my first time seeing him in a movie in the MCU. Like I fell in love with him and I like him there. So here it was just like, you know,
Yeah.
because the MCU does a good job of like grabbing with these characters, and for me, like I gotta say that I think this and She-Hulk specifically like distance you from the main character very badly, and like and they don't realize that, and I don't like that, you know.
Mm.
So, but yeah, um, w- I guess like I do like her chemistry with Samuel L. Jackson because it
Mhm.
was the most grounded, and like that's the thing, like you have a character that doesn't know who she is, and so like her whole thing is so unrelatable, and so it's hard for you to connect to her, and so that's why it was good that we had Sam here and like really grounded her into
Mhm.
reality. So that was good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So but also we also have a really great co-star of Alana Leach character of Marie
Rambo.
Boden. Boden. Oh my god. I can't believe they named the mom with the same M, just like Monica. Why can't I
Mhm.
say her last name?
Rambo.
Rambo. Oh my god. So Brie, great character. I liked her. I wish we had more with her, but I think with the minimal scenes we got from Alana Leach, I think she really helps to bring the film to life. Like the best
Mhm.
scenes is really her house. Like that's
Mhm.
where I really like. That was where I was getting more into the movie as we were going along. But what do you think about her?
Yeah, no, I thought she did a good job. Uh, Again, like very little screen time.
Yeah,
But what she has, she does well. So.
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, not to miss, but her daughter's here. Um, a good setup before we see the older one in one
Mhm.
division.
Yeah.
So that was good. So yeah, I, I, I mean, this movie is 2 hours, so it's good. Um, I mean, they did a good job of carrying so much things going on, which is impressive.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it feels very manufacturing as well. Like it feels like a Marvel community that they're making this movie.
Mhm.
Like I think having the two directors, the was it Anna and Bolen directors. I try to figure out their names right now. Yeah, Anna and Ryan Fleck. I
Mhm.
just thought they did a good, decent job of directing the actors. The best thing they did was to bring Ben Mendelsohn into this movie. Like,
Mhm.
I think that was a great contribution they did, but really they feel like they're higher job directors. I don't feel like they really bring some flair to this movie. Um,
Yeah, they don't have a distinctive voice.
yeah,
It definitely feels like a lot of people complain about the MCU feeling like a big television show,
yeah,
and
and
it definitely felt like in TV directors come in and they just kind of serve the showrunners. They don't necessarily have like a lot of say over what the final product looks like.
yeah,
And this felt like that, but it's a full film.
yeah. Especially like if you're trying to do a female superhero film, like you think you just choose a female director. I mean, they have one here, but like
Yeah, no, one of them.
one of them, yeah,
And they're
um,
they're a team that works together all the time.
yeah,
I don't know.
which I don't mind. I mean, we
Yeah,
have
no,
the
I yeah.
we have the Russo brothers, so it could work. But yeah, it's just weird that it's just weird that they chose a duo for a female led film. I guess like that's one thing I'm excited for the sequel is that they got a female director directed.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, that's Nia Costa, who she did the new Candyman movie back in
Hmm.
2021. So yeah, um, very curious what she's gonna do. And yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, despite not having how you say it, of a voice, as you say, for a distinct voice. I gotta admit, the Marvel Community thing, they did a good job to make this movie look polished. Like, um, despite many people had complained about, the cinematography, the look of the films, or the music, or the effects. Sometimes, I gotta say, we watching this today, like it looks polished. Like I the special effects for like the superpowers, the ships and all that,
Yeah.
like it looks spot on. Like I have no problems with them. And
Yeah.
then yeah, the music, for here, not the licensed songs, but like the just in general the score.
Hmm.
It's like I actually like it. It has that very cool cosmic feel to it, which is great.
Hmm.
Um, And then the cinematography. This one is by Ben Davis, who he's been a regular for the MCU. He did the first Guardians, he did Age of Ultron, and this was his, I think, third film to do
Okay.
it. Yeah, so it was great that he came back, and he also did the Eternals, I think. So
Okay. I mean, that was a
us,
pretty movie.
yeah, exactly. And I think this look of Captain Marvel was really great. And like some of the colors really pop up, like especially
Hmm.
Carol's suit,
Yeah.
in the night and daylight, like looks
Hmm.
awesome. So I do have to give the team of the Marvel Studios. They did a really good job of making this film look great than
Hmm.
some other ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that, well, but
Yeah. No, I thought for the most part it did look very nice. There's a scene on the planet in the beginning, uh, where they're like trying to find the scroll
yes,
that I don't think looks very good. But
yeah, I it feels like Star Trek, like hearing it.
yeah, it does feel like 1960s Star Trek.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Oh my god,
um,
yeah. Every episode is like that. It's just
yeah.
funny. Um, Especially because the scrolls have the purple lasers. It just
Hmm.
hits you. Because sometimes in Star Trek, like some of the planets have those like very purple or like origin skies or rocks. It's like,
Hmm.
oh my god. But yeah. Um, I mean, at least I appreciate I know who was who. You know,
Hmm.
because that's always the issue when we have aliens and in the MCU, because like you're always gonna have that like falter, like filter or like filler, yeah, creatures and all that. At least here I appreciate there was like some distinct between the groups where we're following. Like I knew the Kree was green, and they had sort of that blue lasers, so you understood that was them. And then the
Hmm.
scrolls, they're green people, no pun intended, green little man. Um, they also have the purple laser, and so like it helps to distinct who was who's who sometimes. So I really appreciate that. Um, yeah. Speaking of, I wish we had spent more time with Hella. Like that was something I discovered. I actually like the look. Excuse me, the look of Hella, the city and all that. Like I wish we
Hmm.
spent more time with that planet. Like it looks so sci-fi, and that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see it in a different movie later with different writers. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
no, I think there's a lot of potential there. I just don't know if this movie would have done it justice.
Yeah. I. Yeah. I mean, I. Yeah. I was when I was watching it, I thought I really like the outer space stuff, and then I thought I was gonna hate the Earth stuff, but then I actually like the Earth stuff because they don't. because the scale in the Earth stuff was so much like they kept the action going, which is
Hmm.
good. Because sometimes, like I think the issue with the first two Thor films, when they don't have enough action, a lot of it feels very so stale and like we're just giving exposition.
Hmm.
Here I like how they especially the humor. I think that's the thing with the first two Thor films. The broad, the broad like slapstick humor is just doesn't work with Thor. Where here, I think dry humor that Captain Marvel does here is
Hmm.
way more suitable with certain characters, and I think it was good to try to keep it dry and when someone does the quirky thing, it makes sense with that character. So I feel like they did a really good job of balancing those stuff. But I guess the thing for me, um, watching it, I mean, one of the things that sort of works for me with Wonder Woman, I don't like to compare this to Wonder Woman, but I, for me, the stakes weren't weren't high or personally um danger for the main protagonist,
Hmm.
like how Diane was feeling, where she was, she didn't understand her powers. She, wanted to help people. She wanted to help to stop the war. Like that was one of the things that was uh, grossing with Wonder Woman in her movie was that she wanted
Hmm.
to help all mankind. That's why that's why I love so much the No Man's Land. And then here, you like okay, you understand, you have that with the scrolls, the refugees, right?
Hmm.
And but all that, but then it's kind of like they made it out of the twist that they weren't the bad guys, and I feel like that completely like recourse your mind, and it's like, oh, and then especially with the Kree, it's like the Kree were bad. Like
Right.
if you've seen the Guardians film, it's like, oh, they're the bad guys, or I mean, Ron was the bad guy, like he was the zealot one, but
Hmm.
I feel like the stakes weren't personal, or like it just didn't connect too much with our main character, and that's where I feel like I didn't that's where I think the film fails to do. So but I don't know what else the film didn't connect to you, Will. Like what was the other thing that didn't connect to you with um
No, I mean, I think it really was just like not having enough like solid character moments with
hmm
Carol,
yeah,
or at least character moments that like landed well. Um,
yeah, I agree.
because she is so like confused about who she is for the entire movie. She doesn't really get to show like her personality in a lot of scenes.
or for me, I was bringing up Wonder Woman, vulnerable,
Hmm.
like
Hmm. Yeah,
like
yeah. She
like
never really feels vulnerable.
yeah, like that's something that Wonder Woman did right. Like Diane always felt vulnerable when
Hmm.
it happened. Like the beach scene, like her aunt gets killed, she got shot, and of course she got healed, but you know you you have to understand that she is like self-discovering her powers.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then here, with Carol is like, like, oh, she's like freaking OP, like super powerful. Uh, like every time we see her knocked down, it's like she just kind of like shuffles off because it's like she's fine.
Hmm.
Yeah. And yeah. And speaking of moments, like we don't have like enough of her human moments as Carol. It's always her just like bars, whatever her tree name is, and it's like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's really bad. Um, and then there's also another thing. I I am two minds of thing. I I don't need like I don't want to make this a gender thing, but like I don't mind having a male and female main protagonists have a love interest.
Mhm.
And my question to you, Will, because this didn't have a love interest, do you think having a male love interest for Carol could be necessary to make this movie better, to connect to your hero, or not? What do you think?
I I don't want to just make a blanket statement of like that would make it better or that wouldn't make it better, but I don't think it
Hmm.
needs it. But I do think
Mm,
romance subplots, if done well, do lend to like characterization, um, and like adding stakes to a story.
right.
But again, I don't think it needs it. I think it's perfectly possible to tell a story without those elements.
Yeah, I agreed. It couldn't make no sense what the story they're trying to tell in this movie because of
Hmm.
the whole Indonesia arc thing.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely wouldn't fit with the existing plot.
Yeah. I guess my thing is they needed to have something like a human connection for Carol to make it more believable. And I
Hmm.
just wish that, like, this is where I think the Rambo's family
Yeah,
needed to
they
be more.
definitely tried to do it with
Yeah,
them, but yeah, something about it didn't quite land for me.
yeah. I
Um,
I don't know. Like, it's because so many of the MCU heroes we have are like person. Like
mhm.
Hawkeye is a family father, and Scott is a father as well,
Yeah,
right?
I
And the
I think sorry.
no, go
Um,
ahead.
I think what we needed was like more time seeing what they were like before Carol like got lost and got amnesia,
Yeah, I
so we
agree.
could see what their relationship like actually was beforehand. Because
Hmm.
the flashbacks that are there are very brief, and then it's just like, oh, I remember now.
Yeah,
Inside joke.
it's a joke. Yep.
Everything's better, and like we don't have like all of the context. We just have like some quick like montage scenes of them being friends, and then oh, now they're best friends.
Yeah, yeah,
So you don't feel that like connection that they have.
yeah. I agreed. I think I was thinking they should have done like a pre-title sequence of following her and Marie and Monica, like doing
Hmm.
their daily routine, and then take us to the moment where um Carol is gonna join Marvel, or
Hmm.
the Dr. Larson's to the experimental ship they were gonna
Hmm.
do, and then I think that could have been a better way to give us full contents of the amnesia thing better,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, but then you wouldn't get the twist of the Kree that we already knew are evil being the bad guys all along.
Well, actually, you can. Like, you can set up as like a dream sequence, as they were supposed to do in the opening we have here.
Hmm.
Like, lead that into, and then when we got to the moment where Lawrence gets killed, and then Carol sees the person that's shooting, it was gonna be this like squall, but
Hmm.
we don't know at that the whole movie that's actually Drew Law's character, Con Iag or whatever, the Kree soldier.
Right.
What? Because that you could still do that. It's just like keep that a pre-trial sequence as like, oh, so the pre-trial sequence was like a fake memory that the Kree
Hmm.
implanted. So like
Hmm.
so it could still work, but yeah. Um, I guess uh I guess the other thing that just doesn't work for me is the villain. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, the Wonder Woman movie, I mean, like, at least the villains there work. I mean,
Hmm.
for like entertainment wise, like, I mean, Dr. Poison and General Hofster, whatever, that Danny Houston plays, like they're fun to watch. Like when they actually poison the was it the ally villains, and then they make a remark, oh, they didn't know that mask's gonna work, but they don't know about it, and then like they giggle, so like Indiana Jones villain baddie.
Hmm.
And then, of course, Ares has this ridiculous villain monologues he's is throwing at Diane during the final battle. Like here, the villains are so like vanilla or I like what would I say like the scrolls are great villains because I like the shifting thing. We haven't done that yet. And
Hmm.
I think that aspect worked. But then when you get to the twists where the Kree or the villains, the unfortunate part is they're a team with Carol, which we don't spend enough time with that, and
Hmm.
and you don't get a sense they don't like her, and that's not really built up um spectacularly, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And then they do the stereotypical thing that a lot of the MCU villains have, like they're the mentor to the villain, like Stain or like a protege like Cross and Ant-Man.
Hmm.
Um, like this doesn't work. We don't spend time of the Jude Law and Larson dynamic and relationship, and they're always in and out in the movie, and so like their impact is just so vanilla, really.
Yeah.
So and especially Jude Law, like I like Jude Law. I think he could easily be a great villain, and he's just completely wasted in this film. Like I just I don't know. Like I think the villains were just not good this movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I can't even remember Jude Law's character's name, and I just watched the movie.
Yeah, yeah, his name is Jan Rog or something like
Jan
that.
Rog. Okay.
Yeah, it's so hard to pronounce. It's just like Talos' name is so easy to say it.
Hmm.
It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I yeah, and I was thinking watching the movie because I do remember Rowan was gonna pop up, and
Hmm.
do you think it could have been more a smart thing to just make Rowan again as a villain?
Yeah, I think it would have been good
Yeah,
because where he is now, it really just feels like, hey, remember this guy, and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think they could have built him up as the villain and then retroactively make him more imposing in
Guardians.
Guardians.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, because I just I don't think Jude Law's character just worked at all,
Hmm.
and it wasn't threatening like Talos or really the Scrolls. It's just because the Scrolls have a very unique powers. That are similar to Mystique, and it's like the first time Marvel is doing shape shifting creatures.
Hmm.
So but yeah, speaking of the Scrolls, we can first well, I do want to mention one of the Star Force team, Gemma Chan is here. He
Hmm.
played the villain Mid uh, Minerva. Excuse me. She was heavily promoted in the film, and she was all in the premieres, right? And
Hmm.
and she is barely in this movie, and
Yeah.
like I couldn't hear what she was saying. She had like a low voice,
Hmm.
and the makeup. I mean, you kind of recognize her, and like she has such a lame death. It's
Hmm.
like oh, and then she got shot. Yeah, so I don't know why did she have her. I mean, they didn't know that Crazy Rich Asians were gonna be successful. Um,
Right.
so it's I'm happy that she's back in the MCU, but I don't know. So yeah, I just want to bring that up because I know seriously here she's not the only one we have here. Like Michelle Yeoh was in Boden too, and etc. So many actors, uh,
Hmm.
got opportunities to have a second role in MCU films or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's discuss the scrolls. I think the scrolls was the best thing about this movie. I think having Ben Mendelsohn as the lead for the scrolls was great. Like he really brings energy to this movie. I mean, his
Yeah, he does.
jokes. Oh my god, I love his jokes. Like his I mean, when every time, like the scene where Marie and Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, ask him what kind of shape shifting he can do besides people. It's so hilarious, and I loved. What was Monica? She brought up the cabin, like a file cabin or something like that. To change it.
Hmm.
It's still funny. And then of course the cat was funny. It's like, oh no, the Ferkland. Um, oh my god, Benison is great. I love him, and I'm so happy we're gonna see him again in Secret Invasion. Um,
Yeah. No, I'm
yeah,
excited whenever that comes out.
yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as like short term villains are, they were great. I they
Hmm.
were friendly and they were like very good at like they this movie did a good job of like infiltrate the groups without
Hmm.
knowing. They did a good job with that with the scrolls, and I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so much we can say about Mendelsohn. What do you think about him and this role and all that?
Yeah. No, I thought he brought a lot of humor. I thought he really like humanized the scroll, which is good for a movie that's turning them into good guys.
Yeah.
Because like scaly green people that can shapeshift uh, are very easily kind of scary
Stereotypical.
villains. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah. Yeah, I like the twist with them. Um,
mhm.
I think it worked. Um,
Yeah, I am curious how they're gonna do Secret Invasion.
yeah,
Uh, are they gonna introduce scrolls that are evil? Are they gonna have it be like, yes, they secretly invaded,
or
but we want them to?
you want to,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking.
Well, it seems like there's like a maybe like a half like a branch of scrolls that are good, and then there's half that like are bad. You know,
Hmm.
like sort of like the mutants. Like there's a branch of mutants that are good. Obviously the
Yeah.
X-Men, and then the ones that are like the Brotherhood, right?
Hmm.
So because we don't know, because in this movie it was never clarified. Like I know there were like there's still not enough. There's still left of scrolls, but it never confirmed if they were going instinct. So you
Right.
know,
Yeah. It very strongly implies that they're like the last of the scroll.
yeah, and every time they say that, it is not always true. Like there also like there is still like scrolls out there, but you don't know. Like
Hmm.
like their first generation of scrolls, they have maybe some abilities that maybe the current ones don't have. You know,
Hmm.
because this is the way you introduce super scrolls. You know,
Hmm.
if you're gonna do that, where they actually have the ability to adapt powers.
Hmm.
And then that's where it's sort of interesting. Then you got this half scrolls that they able to personate people, but then you have this other scrolls that they have abilities to also impersonate people, but they can also impersonate or like adapt to abilities.
Yeah.
So like that could be what they're maybe setting up, but we'll see. Um, yeah, but and that's the thing I sort of like about the scrolls. I think it's because we're sort of paying off some of the threads from this movie
Hmm.
slowly, which is good. So like the Kree stuff is like it's kind of there, and like we don't know what they're gonna do with them. But where we seen Taros and his wife, and Far From Home,
Hmm.
and then and of course I think we saw his wife again in WandaVision when she was gonna pick up Monica towards the end of
Hmm.
that series. So we're really building up to the situation very well. So I'm very helpful, and it makes sense to have like a fraction. That's the word I was looking. The
Hmm.
fraction of good scrolls slash bad scrolls, and I think it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
And it's realistically too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. They wouldn't just be all members of one group would
yeah,
agree on everything.
yeah. That's the thing, and that's I think that's one of my problem with the Kree. It's like
Yeah.
i- it's it's just them being the bad, and it's like, well, like we saw that a little bit with Marvel, but like it's not wasn't enough.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's one thing they're doing right with the scrolls. So yeah, because it was always weird in the comics. It's like, where's the good scroll?
Hmm.
So oh, speaking of Marvel, um, you know, when this movie was coming out, I don't think it was very secret, and I was just kind of you know surprised. We have Annette Bening in this movie. She plays a gender swap version of Marvel,
Hmm.
which I was happy, and I think she was really good with the stuff she had. I mean, she has very limited, you know, screen time,
Hmm. Yeah.
but when she's in the screen, she is on fire. I love her, and I think she's still great, and I think she does everything, and especially when she's the supreme intelligence, she
Hmm.
was very cool, and I really got that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So I guess we have that. What else I have to mention? They have a lot of stuff here. I was like gonna check. With Marvel. Um, I is there anything else we're missing? Will with Captain Marvel?
I
Um,
don't, not that I can think of really.
yeah. So Ultra. Now I remember. So a couple things very quickly.
Hmm.
We got cameos. The Kelly Sue DeConnick had a cameo, very brief. So that was neat because they based this movie on her run of Captain
Mm.
Marvel.
Okay.
So, and then obviously, this is something we have to address. Stan Lee. This
Hmm.
was his sort of last before Endgame appearance as a person before his passing. The Marvel Stan Lee logo is still great,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's probably the thing people talk about this movie is like, oh, they at least they had this and it was good. um And they still have it, which I'm surprised they still keep it in the movie. And I do like
Yeah.
how they say "thank you, Stan." That was so
Hmm.
nice. In his cameo, it's cute. You know, he's reading Mallrats. Um, so much. But yeah, so I did want to mention that. That was very neat for them to do. And it was so sad. I can't believe it's been like 5 years or yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, it was 2018,
Yeah, when his passing.
so maybe a little over 4.
Yeah, a little bit of 4 years. So it was very nice that this movie has that going. So
Hmm.
um, and I guess I guess we can get into the music. The licensed music, it was okay. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's music that I really like, but it also is very much like, quick, we need to tell the audience that it's set in the 90s.
yeah
Like it's like cliche 90s music.
yeah. Um, what's your opinion on My Girl or Being Girl that No Doubt group song? I
Oh, I'm just a girl, or just a girl.
Yeah, just a girl.
I
Thank you.
love that song. Um,
Um,
I
but
really like that song a lot.
oh
But yeah, again, that is like also that's the song that I'm talking about when I
yeah,
say like we need to tell the audience that this movie's set in the 90s and we only have like 3 seconds to do it. What do we do?
yeah, yeah. It's I mean, good effort, but they could have been more original with the songs. I mean,
Hmm.
like the Guardians films, like at least the Guardians, they have one song that you know, but then they have the other song you don't know. Like
Right.
here, they made the mistake of just like they're doing the thing I don't like about movies with licensed music. They just pick the ones that people heard of, and it's like, come on,
Yeah. And they lean too hard on it, like
yeah,
for setting the mood or
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, and it's like so it's like they don't set it up right away,
Hmm.
like the Guardians films, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as Wonder Woman 1984. Like they did not put effort to put music. That was from the
No.
80s. Like they have one, and that was it.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And like at least Black Widow did a better job doing that. So with American Pie, so that was good.
Hmm.
Or American, yeah, American Pie. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't want to confuse the movie. I'm talking about the song. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. I agreed. I yeah. And I guess another one we have to mention is just how like the the conversation that was going on with this movie, Brie Larson remarks, and then the way this movie was very feminized, feminist, and and the release date was like March 8th. Like, I I feel like Marvel went the wrong direction for this movie in terms of very leaning on the criticisms that people were having, with Brie Larson and then the whole movie. And I think it was a mistake that well, they didn't lean too far on it. That was the thing. Like, the same with the biker. It's like,
Hmm.
why do we need that? Like, and apparently there's a deleted scene that she actually breaks his arm, and
Okay.
yeah, and I don't think that will go well with people, and that's just it. Could make her really bad hero to look up to.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't
yeah,
know. I didn't
yeah,
really pay attention to that stuff when it was coming out, just because
yeah.
the internet is a toxic place.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah, I just want
yeah.
to bring that, and I just want to bring it up and say it was not as bad as I think people were saying, or like or like putting it on their content, because a lot of people were just doing that for clickbait in their videos and
Hmm.
articles and whatnot. Um, this movie was so tame. Like
Yeah.
I like I mean, like Wonder Woman did a better job discussing gender roles and all that well in the time period. Like if this movie did a better job of handling that and tying it into their time period, then I think this movie couldn't have been better. But they didn't lean
Hmm.
to that as farther as I
Yeah.
think they should have done.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, Black Widow sort of did that, but then that was the sort of the downfall from that movie, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah. That movie had other problems.
yeah, other problems.
Um,
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh my god, this movie. And just to wrap things up, I'm just kind of curious about you hearing. Me and Chris, our new member, did a
hmm.
Phase 5 discussion yesterday, and
Hmm.
I brought up that the Marvels was my least excited film
Yeah.
for Phase 5. Where you at with this movie, and then what you wish they can do to fix this character and this franchise, like
Um,
to make it better and for you to like this character more.
yeah. Let me think.
Go, sure.
So, looking at the list of Phase 5 movies,
Yep.
yeah, it's my least anticipated. Because I wasn't crazy about this movie or Miss Marvel. Um,
Hmm.
but I think the characters are strong. Like the actresses that are playing them are strong. So they
Yes.
really just need the right creative team behind the movie.
Yeah.
And I think you could get yourself a pretty killer franchise. I just don't know if they're going to do that. I like don't have faith that they're going to do that. Um, I don't know. There's potential there, and I really want them to um, like realize it, but
Right.
I'm not confident that they're going to get there.
Yeah. Um. I. You bring up the actresses, like, I know. I think we're sort of different with Miss Marvel, but I like Miss Marvel the show, especially because the character, Kamala Khan is great.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
character is great.
yeah,
Um, it was just the um the story of the TV show uh didn't really
land.
yeah, I was trying to
Yeah,
use a different word because I said that a lot
yeah,
today.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
it's weird. It's weird because you see this character land on floors or ground so many times. Like, it's just so funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot get away with the word, especially when a character flies around. It's like, yeah. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want to do a recap of the show, but like, I mean, that show at least did the right thing compared to this movie was to get you like your main character.
Yeah, no, they made Khan likable right away.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah, and then Monica, Monica has been a supporting character, and I mean, I gotta say, like, she was okay, the child actress in this movie, but the older one, the older version was really great
yeah,
for WandaVision. Like, she just her arc was tied to Wanda in very interesting ways that
hmm,
made sense, and it was like very satisfying towards the end, especially when she was slowly getting her powers, which
yeah,
again, WandaVision did a better job of like letting your character discover her powers than this movie did. So, especially with Monica, and
hmm,
yeah, so I'm very curious about the chemistry that um Khan and Monica is gonna have for Carol and the sequel. You know,
yeah.
and then it's also the director. I don't know if you've seen the new Candyman movie. Um,
No, I haven't.
oh, okay. Well, then we need to watch that movie someday.
Okay.
Because I heard great things about it. I think having finally a female director, a black female director that's really great to direct this movie. I think we're gonna have hopefully a singular voice for this movie
Hmm.
as opposed of this Captain Marvel, and I think it's good. And the writers, um, because I do want to bring up the writers for this first one had the major ones like Nicole Perman. She did the
Right,
first
Guardians.
Guardians, and and then the other writers
She
I
wrote
don't
Inside Out, the other one.
yeah that's who she was.
Yeah, Megan something.
Oh yes, yes, she did a lot of
I want to
uncredited.
get her name. Hold on.
Yeah, she did. Oh my gosh, she did. Yeah, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur. She did.
Meg Lef. Oh man, it's French. I can't pronounce French names.
Oh my god, Meg Free.
Oh,
Oh my god. She did
Lef.
Onward. Yeah,
Yeah,
and of course,
she's
Insight
she's worked on some good Disney
projects. Yeah, and
projects.
then the new other writer, she did. Uh, she did the Tomb Raider, and she's doing the Full Out show, and yeah, she has a lot of these like unproduced films that
Hmm.
hasn't passed. But this new one has the writer that did One Division, and she's also is going to be part of the Africa Covenant of Chaos. So
Okay.
so that's good news. And same thing, Seb Wells as well. He is a writer from Robot Chicken. He actually done a couple of Marvel comics, so
Okay.
that's good. He
Yeah.
he also gonna do Marvel Zombies, but he's also was part of
Mm,
the She-Hulk show. But he did the
mm,
retreat. He did the retreat. At least the retreat was better.
okay. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
So I'll take that than really the finale. Really, I'll add
Hmm.
had to be honest. So, it's at least there. I mean, we're getting Samuel Jackson back in this movie. I do want to bring that up.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, it's really weird. Like they they're making a big deal of the two Marvel people. But
Yeah.
it,
Well, I imagine they're gonna be like
yeah,
the the center of the movie, and
yeah,
then Nick
yeah,
Fury will be a side character. But
yeah. And then, speaking of, we haven't yet confirmed the villain. It's gonna be a female villain, which is good. It's played by Sean Astin. She's actually the wife for Tom Hiddleston. Uh, so
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that
so
detail. Okay.
yeah, so just want to bring up. She's a British actress. She did comedy dramas like Fresh Meat. Oh, she did the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Valet Buzzsaw. Weird movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, check that out.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, she's pretty good. I'm trying to find out where. Oh, she was in Doctor Who. That's why I recognize her. She was in the Capote episode, um, Into the Dialect. She was one of those soldiers that goes with the Doctor and Clara into this Rusty,
Mm,
the Dialect, the good one. So, but yes, they haven't confirmed who she is as the villain. But yeah, and then other tip is like the Korean actor Park So John has joined the movie. I don't know who's going to be.
hmm.
And Khan's older brother and mother, her family is going to be in this movie as well. Need to read that up.
Right.
So yeah, so there's potential here. It's just we haven't have enough information about this movie, and they saying that it's going to be like a body swipe kind of movie. Like I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
S-
because
you know,
yeah,
because like we were confused with Miss Marvel finale, but then it was like they were transporters. So
right. It
um,
was like they were swapping places instead
yeah,
of um
yeah.
like swapping bodies.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
we'll see.
so yeah, and it could be important in the multiverse saga with the Bangles, with Kane and all that. So
Yeah,
hopefully they
and connecting with like the Ten Rings and
yes, yeah. Or we're gonna pay that up too. Like we're gonna do that.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah. But yeah, but with all that, I just wish she's having the same problem with Doctor Strange. It's like we really need to focus our character. Like I
Hmm.
don't mind having these other characters, but someday they really need to make a movie where we're really with the character and like going through an arc. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
I that's my main wish for this movie is to do that, where the first movie didn't do. You know,
Hmm.
because that was the issue with Thor with the first two films, and then Thor Ragnarok sort of rectified that, and Doctor Strange sort of is having that problem right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I hope they make like have Carol have an arc in a sequel and make her be actually likable and be relatable this time around.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, anything else to say, Will? I think that's enough for me to say about
No.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm good.
yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'm surprised I enjoyed it. I thought I was gonna hate it, but
Yeah. No, I was pleasantly surprised that I liked it more than I did the first time. So
yeah, it's at least it doesn't cross the line like some Marvel movies does. Um, like the humor is actually pretty good. You know,
yeah, they don't overdo it, which is
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think it helps that since it came out, Marvel has released movies that I've like actually not liked. Um, so it looks better in comparison.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. This movie
yeah,
looks like 10 times better than Phase 4. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that I can agree. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, thank you, Will, for coming. I'm so happy we can talk again. Thank goodness January's over soon
Hmm.
tomorrow. So yeah, so me will be back again, folks, for another spectacular podcast. I don't know what, but I think it'll be maybe Ant-Man 3, but we'll see. But yeah,
Oh, that is coming out.
yeah, in February. I mean, we're almost there
Wow. Okay.
to
Yeah.
to begin Phase 5. So we'll discuss that when we get to that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. So, but nevertheless, watch out for the next podcast. We'll be back soon. But yeah, thank you, Will, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right, everyone. Have a good week, and we'll see you guys very soon.